Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, we're going to go ahead and try to give our boomerang tower some actual boomerang-like motion. Let's go ahead and get started. So currently, the thing that's controlling the motion is this add to boomerang a permanent force at this angle degrees and length pixels. So we don't really want that. We don't want it to, move with a permanent force of 200 at this angle. What do we want to do? Well, let's go ahead and look for something. We want to look for something to move it. Maybe movement, maybe position. Maybe movement. I don't know. Do some searching. What if I maybe add a force to move toward a position? I want the boomerang to move maybe BoomerangTower dot x. And if you don't know how I got that, again, you can look for it here. Common expression for all objects. I'm looking for the position, the x position of my boomerang turret or tower. So that's exactly how I got it. And maybe y position, boomerang tower dot y. Speed maybe 100. And instant permanent, let's try instant. So let's go ahead and try that. Oof, so it just gets stuck there. Okay, not quite working. Why is that? Maybe if I offset this by 100, and instead of instant, I make it a permanent. So it always moves toward that position. Okay. So it's always moving toward that position. Now, let's go ahead and change some things up so we can better test our game. Let's go ahead and change the enemy spawn time. Spawning a little too fast. Let me make it maybe 5 seconds. And let's go ahead and move this condition. So I don't care if the enemy is close enough right now. I just want to fire. So I'm going to move it outside of that so it's not a sub event anymore. So I'm going to always fire. So let's look at this. Now, why is it always firing up there? No matter where the enemy is, it's always firing up here. Well, let's think about it. What is happening? Like, why is it going up there? Where do we control the firing, the movement? We control it right here. We are moving the boomerang to the boomerang tower, x position, plus 100. So that's this way. And boomerang tower, y position, with a permanent force of 100 pixels. So, I don't know, maybe 100. Let's go ahead and look. Currently, it's at 265. So how much is 365? Okay, let's make this 365. So right here is where it should disappear. Or, not disappear, it's where it should move to. Let's go ahead and try moving it to plus 10. And let's see what happens. So if it's plus 10, well, here's my boomerang tower. It should move to 275. So just to get a visual example where 275 is. Very close by. Oh, now what's happening? it's moving the opposite direction. What? Maybe plus 10 is a little bit too little? Plus 60 maybe? Alright, so what exactly is happening? Why is it going so far up? I thought I told it to move only to x position plus 60 for the x value and a y value. So what's happening? Well, the key thing here is we're adding a permanent force. So this boomerang is going to permanently have this force until it gets destroyed or disappears or something. So remember, this x and this y, that is the origin of this sprite right here, this boomerang tower. So it should be up here, the x and y. But why does it continue moving? Well, once it reaches that point, it's going to continue to move because of this permanent force. Alright, so let's always look at the logic. It's going to keep going even when it hits boomerang tower, the origin point, plus 60, and boomerang tower dot y, the origin y point, because of its permanent force. Alright, and I use another object to kind of show you visually where I would expect it to stop. So let's go ahead and try some stuff out. Let's go ahead and think about it for a little bit. What can I do? Well, what if instead I use the cannon of my boomerang tower and the firing range variable of my tower to kind of tell it where to go? Also, what if I don't delete the boomerang when it leaves the range? So let's go ahead and take this out. I'm going to take off the delete object boomerang. We might need it again. I'm just trying some stuff out. And what if I, instead of using this, I use the cannon? So it's not X, it's a specific point. What's the point's name? Cannon. Okay. And then let's go ahead and do the same thing for point Y. Cannon. And instead of 60, what if I use the firing range of my turret variable? So how do I get that? Well, if I forget the code for it, common expression, variables, object variable. The object is called boomerang tower, and it is the firing range variable. So there we go. Take off the 60. Okay. So let's go ahead and check that out. I'm going to move the boomerang to this position. And let's go ahead and add that right here. Alright, let's try it out. Alright, so we see it's always moving toward this position. Oh, and it's not disappearing. Why is it not disappearing? Deleting? Because we deleted that right here. Yeah, it's still not quite working. It's not taking into account the angle of my turret, right? And it's not really taking into account the angle where my tank is. It's just firing in this position, this location, which is, I mean, logically I coded it. The cannon point, the X point of the cannon, plus the firing range, the Y point of the cannon, plus the firing range, and that is down here. So that's not quite what we want. Now, I think we're going to have to code the logic of this boomerang in a lot more than just what we have. So let me show you what we need to do. I'm going to go ahead and upgrade some of this. Alright, let's go ahead and see what we need to do. So I need to make it go in this arc. That motion is quite complicated. It's like here, 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 here. Alright, it's like a teardrop shape. So what if we try to break this down into smaller components? Let's say it makes kind of like a kite shape. Here, 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 and then back. Alright, so we have 1, 2, 3, and then the boomerang disappears when it hits my character again. So let's go ahead and try that out. So instead of having it all right here, all of this movement stuff right here, I'm going to go ahead and make another event. And what I'm going to do, I want to have all my boomerang movement stuff out here. So here we go. I'm going to make a new comment. Whoops. I'm going to go ahead and call it boomerang motion. And I'm going to make a for each boomerang for now. For each boomerang, not boomerang tower, boomerang. Alright, and I'm going to control that movement right here. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this down. For each boomerang object, I'm going to do this. Alright, so this is good programming practice to go ahead and separate everything into its own smaller component. So here we have our boomerang motion module. Up here we have the logic to control the firing of the boomerang, and we're going to make that even better later on. Here we have our range condition. And if we can break each thing down into its own separate module or function, then we can easily copy and paste code between games, within games, and make our lives easier. In fact, look at our tax shooter and turret, right? We basically copy and pasted, and we just edited a few things. Alright, so in our next video, we're going to go ahead and add some code in here to some condition to check out what stage the boomerang is in. Is it in stage 1, or maybe 0, 1, 2, or 3? And we're going to make our movement better. See you then.